pixies, fairies, elves, gelflings, mermaid, witches, wizards, unicorns, dragons, Chewbaccas, Fraggles, black sheep, scapegoats, and all mythical creatures. Hi. Let's try a little snacky poos, shall we, from Lidl. And it's raining and it's pouring, so I feel like I am ready to go jumping in muddy puddles. Exactly. Barefoot walking forevermore. Grounding. Grounding, earthing into the unknown to be known. Exactly. As above, so below, as within, so without. So I'm thinking of talking more about narcissistic dynamics at some point soon, because it's something I have been talking about, writing about, and studying in a sense for years. Studying as in researching narcissistic abuse, narcissistic personality disorder, and toxic narcissistic systems. And I've been looking into this for absolutely years, and I know people are talking about it a lot nowadays, but I want to talk about stuff to do with narcissistic family dynamic systems, narcissistic dynamic system, work systems, toxic work systems, family systems, friendship groups, and religious systems and groups, where what can happen is there'll be, let's say, in a narcissistic family dynamic system, there's a lot of covert abuse going on within the entire family system. And it's so interesting because there's enablers, flying monkeys, and what you'll have is like unaware enablers and aware enablers, and the difference between those, I'm going to go into it all, I think, because I'm ready to do that some more. And trauma bonding, cognitive dissonance, Stockholm syndrome, things to do with neurodiversity, ADHD and autism, and how a lot of people with neurodiversity can become and do become the scapegoat, black sheep and outcast in a lot of these systems, and the reasons why that happens, and how a lot of people in these systems have a lot of cognitive dissonance to do with the trauma bonding, to do with the tethering to the systems and the ins and outs of that, and maybe perhaps break everything down in extreme details to do with family scapegoating, golden child, scapegoat child, invisible child, family dynamics, and how every role plays into the role of family dynamics, toxic work dynamics, toxic religion dynamics, and toxic group settings in general, because it's extremely important to be aware of these things and the differences between stonewalling and no contacts, because it's just so interesting. And I started learning about these things years ago after I dated a particular guy, and I started looking into it and deep diving into the rabbit hole. And I guess that's one of my hyperfixations, the psychology of people, how people operate, and how, if you're born into a toxic system or a family dynamic, or you end up in some religious group which is also toxic, or some sort of work environment that's toxic, if you're very young, or a child or a baby born into those groups, obviously you're not going to be aware of how these systems operate until you get older and you start learning about boundaries, because a lot of times boundaries aren't taught. In fact, people not having boundaries is how systems operate. What a boundary is and how to access boundaries for yourself, because boundaries is love. And there's so many things, triangulation, and so much insidious behaviour going on in these systems. And what I will say is now is that if you are a scapegoat, if you are an outcast, a black sheep in any of these systems, is to realise and become aware of that first. Because it's a lot of realisation, almost going through a death, like in the death card in the tarot deck. It's one of my favourite cards, the death card. And having like a shedding of skin and a rebirth and a whole new way of learning yourself, people around you, how to set and act and do boundaries and stuff like that, because boundaries is extremely important. Intuition is extremely important. Reading energy is extremely important in the world, in life. Shadow work, and so much. I think I am going to dive into that a lot more. However, I ran around Lidl, 2 shakes of a lamb's tail, came across this thing. This is called Stevie Snake chocolate button biscuits with cream filling. It's got some pictures of palm trees, where I want to be, with these chocolate button things all around, with these sort of like sprinkles over the top. So they did have another one of these. It says, why not try our Stevie and Susie Snake sweets too? So they had another one which was like, I think it had like a cream biscuit with some sort of strawberry filling, but I don't really like strawberry flavoured stuff. I like strawberries as in the fruit, but I don't like strawberry milkshake or strawberry flavoured stuff like that. But I'm going to give this a go. So this is called Stevie Snake chocolate button biscuit. That's what the box is looking like. However, where's the Stevie Snake? What? I'm so confused. What's this got to do with snakes? And let's just open it, because all it is a picture of some grass, some palm trees, and yellow. However, I'm going to use my imagination and think that these round biscuit button things are like representing Car's eyes, you know, Car from the Jungle Book, and he's trying to hypnotize and groom Mowgli so he can eat him. And I guess that, and the Jungle Book, all Disney films, Never-Ending Story, Wizard of Oz, and The Labyrinth, and all the movies are telling you about Car or the Wicked Witch and her flying monkeys, the energy vampire. The flying monkeys are doing the dirty work for the wicked witch, who's the narcissist. And the ruby slippers, because Glenda tells Dorothy, you've always had the power, my dear. So the ruby slippers, the red ruby slippers, are her power or her energy that they can't take from her unless they allow it. But she has to do this whole fucking story with all these characters to learn the lesson. The same in Never-Ending Story, the same in the Jungle Book, when Car tries to zap Mowgli and because narcissism is a form of hypnosis, it's a form of brainwashing, mind control, and this is what I'm going to talk about. A Never-Ending Story and The Labyrinth, and all of them. However, let's try these. And then tomorrow, I think I really am going to go splashing and muddy puddles. I'm going to go pumpkin fishing, and I'm going to put my waders on and my wellies. If I do that, I go earthing in nature and splashing muddy puddles. So this, whoa, they smell wild. So there's 2 in a packet, and they're looking like this. So yeah, they're looking psychedelic, man. Look, it's like 2 snake eyes whizzing around like Car's eyes. Oh my god, you could literally do one of those cosplay makeup looks with these. Instead of buttons, use these for eyes. So yeah, that's what they're looking like. Kind of cute. They smell a bit dodgy, but yeah, it's like a biscuity thing. Chocolatey. And all that jazz. Sniff, sniff. Oh, whiff, whiff. Yum, yum. Let's see if it really is yummy. Ready, aim, fire. Okay. This bit's a little strange. Okay. Let's try another one. Okay. Not sure how I feel about that. No. I've tried better stuff like this. Much better. They're okay, but I'm not going to jump into Lidl and buy these again. The texture of the biscuit's a little strange. It doesn't taste that nice. I don't know. They're okay. I don't love them. No. I should have known. Snake. Poison. Venom. 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 M&M. Venom. Little Sims, doesn't she do Venom? Oh my god, that song's fire. I'm gonna have to download it again. Nice. The song is nice, not these. However, never forget, chin up, crown up, never let motherfuckers bring you down.